Coach Greg. In today's video, it's all about the body fat on the ladies. What is ideal? What should a woman look like? And can you judge how much body fat a girl actually has?
When males and females are both in that 5% region, they all look the same. They ain't no more sexually mediated fat tissue.
And so Mike has a point. When boys and girls are equally shredded, they all look pretty much the same. It's hard to see secondary female sexual characteristics. You don't really see breasts anymore. There's no hip fat. There's no body fat anywhere. And for the most part, women, they do in fact carry 6 to 9% more body fat than that of men. And so it's very strange when you see a girl who's sub 10% body fat. It's very rare, and you only see it in a bodybuilding competition. Unless somebody is suffering from that thing that I'm not going to mention. It starts with an A and ends with dyslexic. Unless it's that, then you're not seeing a girl sub 10% body fat. Women have more essential body fat than that of their male counterparts. And so for the most part, men can't get under 3% body fat. If they do, they basically die. Women, most often 6% body fat. Now remember, there are exceptions to every rule. And depending on the steroids you're taking, I'm going to call it right now, if you're a girl sub 10% body fat, you're probably not natural. You're probably abusing performance enhancing drugs that are allowing you to get that lean. Because if you try to do it natural, you'd have a hard time walking, let alone training hard in the last time to keep all that precious muscle. And remember, it's not healthy, and neither is bodybuilding. You really think it's healthy for a female bodybuilder to get to sub 10% body fat? They're most likely, if not for sure, going to be amenorrheic. They're not having their period, and not going to be able to have kids. And so why would somebody do it? Well, I'll tell you why, because they want to win a bodybuilding show. And so if you want to do it, you don't give a shit, then go for it. But remember, it's not healthy, and please, for the love of somebody, don't stay at single-digit body fat.
Sub 5% men and women into a room naked, they usually don't even have any sexual relations. They just stare at each other and sit down and just look at the wall. And then when food comes in, they go, oh my God.
And he's not lying. When you're that shredded, a guy and a girl, you're looking incredible. You're so shredded. You're thinking, oh my goodness, all they're going to want to do is have sexy time. They both look so incredible. All they're thinking about is when do they get to eat? They're not wanting to lay down with each other in a bed. They're wanting to go to sleep and eat and train. And that's it. Remember, I'm speaking from experience, people. I've done this for decades.
So, ladies, at 30% plus, oftentimes, not always, the bra and undies make distinct fat pinches where you have fat spillover.
And so what I'm seeing here is much closer to 40% than 30. You can hate me if you want, but I do not see 30% body fat. These girls both are overweight and obese. This is not a healthy body fat percentage for a female. It's not morbidly obese. They're not going to die from it anytime soon, but it's certainly not a healthy body fat that women should strive for. This is not the body fat percentage of what I would picture if somebody had a dream physique. Hey, I want to be healthy. What is my end goal? This, for most people, is not it. Now, if you're 50, 60% body fat to start with, and you cut it down to this, which is high 30s or 40% body fat, then that is amazing. Anything better than you are right now, that is fantastic. But don't think that this is the picture-perfect, healthy body fat percentage for you.
And at this level, depending on your genetics, you can either have big, huge hips and glutes and thighs, or you can have relatively normal hips and thighs and glutes, but your waist is wide enough for there not to be as much of an hourglass appearance.
And so yes, at 30% body fat, which is not what we're seeing here, women can carry their body fat very differently. They could have a very small waist or even see abdominals, but that would be in conjunction with very wide hips, perhaps a lot of cellulite, and what they would call saddlebags. Or their body fat could be distributed to be more like a man. They may in fact have a belly, but have small hips. They may not have that hourglass physique that you're looking for. And so oftentimes what you'll see in the fitness world is people going for BBLs. They're taking body fat from the waistline to shrink it down and putting it into the lower half. And so what we see is very small waist with massive hips and amazing looking glutes. But it's not natural. It's fake. They're doing surgeries to get that artificial look. And so just because somebody looks a certain body fat percentage or has a small waist doesn't mean they're actually lean. You can literally have a very small waist and still be obese. It depends on your genetics. And I've literally coached girls in the past who had a visible six-pack. I'm talking about 6 abs with veins, but at the same time have very large hips. And I'm talking about they're still obese. 175 pounds, 5'4", shredded abs with veins, but massive, huge hips with cellulite. cellulite. And so it depends on your genetics. You can't do anything about it. Sorry.
Your shape is coming in and your waist generally starts to narrow significantly versus hips. This is where in people's transformational journeys, they start to really feel like in clothes, they look shapely.
And so the difference from those last photos to these photos is way more than 5%. Clearly a 10% difference or even more. There was, especially on the right, a clear difference in body fat percentage in the abdominals. Girl on the left still has some body fat on her waist, but she does appear to have higher than 25% body fat. Now, I can't be certain. I don't see her from the rear. I don't see her hamstrings and glutes, but to me, slightly higher than 25% body fat. Girl on the right, very lean stomach, but what does she have in her hips? Does she have a lot of hip fat? Does she have a lot of leg fat? And so I can't be certain. I would need an MRI scan, or I would need to see front, back, top to bottom, and see it with my laser eyes.
20 to 25%, the shape starts to become really distinct. This is actually quite lean for a woman.
Now remember, 25% body fat for most women, that is what I say is ideal. That is very healthy. And so if your goal is to get down to a healthy body fat percentage and you're female, I'm telling you right now, if you get down to 25%, I'm going to call you healthy. That is a great job. And so if you're at 30% and you get down to 25, I'm going to say you did fantastic. You're much healthier. If you go from 25% to 20, I'm going to say great job yet again, but doesn't necessarily make you healthier. It's not a contest to say the lower the better. 20 isn't better than 25 and 15 isn't better than 20. Now, of course, you're a competitor, you're an athlete, you perhaps want to be leaner, but it doesn't mean it's more beneficial. And so you're not happy about this. It's much easier to get to a healthy body fat percentage than you once thought. Perhaps as a woman, you thought, no, I should be 10 or 15% body fat. That is ridiculous. 10 to 15% body fat, that is shredded. That is most people competing at nationals in bodybuilding and bikini.
Accounting for the secondary sexual characteristics of breast, gluteal, and thigh body fat that women have much more than males do on average. If you obviate for that, it's really much more of what a male would look like at 15 to 20%.
These women are not 20% body fat. Sorry, they're higher than 20%. 20% for a woman, very lean. For the most part, 18 to 22% body fat for females, that is an Olympic athlete. If you're a female athlete at the Olympics, most of them at the top level, 18 to 22%. Have you seen females at the Olympics? That is very lean. And so again, I don't see the legs. I can't tell you for sure, but some women, they have a belly, but they have amazing thighs. You can clearly see visible definition amongst her legs. And to the opposite extent, I've seen girls with shredded abs, unfriggin' believable veins everywhere, back more shredded than Coach Greg. But yet you can't see any definition in her legs, none whatsoever. If you saw a photo of their bottom half, you'd say a little bit overweight, but that's okay. If you saw a photo of their top half, you'd say, what am I looking at? Is that a man? How are they that shredded? What steroids are they taking? And so very large discrepancies. And so if you see somebody trying to guess their body fat and they're wearing pants on with their top off, very hard to get an accurate read.
Females tend to have much leaner upper bodies than lower bodies. Can be distinct, especially when lifting. Like a girl who is at 23% body fat, when she does lateral raises, you're like, damn, bitch got shoulders.
Exactly. For the most part, women are going to get much leaner in their upper bodies before their lower bodies. It's one of the problems what we see in bikini competition. Women who compete in bikini, if you see their upper bodies in their face, you think they're suffering from some disorder. It starts with an A, rhymes with dyslexic. But in reality, they're just trying to win a bikini competition. They have to starve themselves, perhaps eating 1,200 calories a day, doing 1 or 2 hours of cardio every single day to get their body fat so lean that they can see some definition in their legs. And in doing that, they look very gaunt. Their cheeks are sunken in. Their eyes are looking gaunt, very sickly looking. And because of that, they're getting Botox, they're getting filler, they're getting all kinds of things to counterback the fact that they're just too lean. They have amazing six packs, they're shredded, but when they walk on stage, they're not flexing it. So although they appear lean, they don't appear too lean. They're not flexing their bicep, they're not flexing their tricep. And so you can't see just how lean they actually are. But these girls, if you saw them in person, you'd say, could you eat a burger? You want to eat something right now because it's not healthy. These girls who are winning bikini competitions, if you saw them on the beach, you would be looking, of course, but you'd be looking in shock. You would respect how hard they worked to get that, but you wouldn't probably want to look like that. Perhaps if they put on 10 pounds of body fat, as they will in their off season, perhaps a month or two after the show, you think, wow, that is an incredible look. I would love to look like that. But anyone who's winning a bikini competition for for the most part, very underweight, very low body fat, likely on performance-enhancing drugs, and amenorrheic, as in they're not having their period. And because of that, oftentimes they get breast augmentation surgery. They're also using hyaluronic acid or butt implants and getting BBLs. It's very difficult to look like a woman when you have the body fat percentage of a very lean man. Does that not make sense? And so they're doing this with artificial means. You see in bikini, most will have very long hair extensions. It's blocking the back because for the most part, you're going to see a back with bumps and grooves, crevices everywhere, more shredded than perhaps a male bodybuilder. Oftentimes, women who compete in women's bikini, if they did a back double bicep, you would be mind blown. What am I looking at right now? But yet you don't see it. They bend over, stick their butts out, and stand like this with their hair blocking their back. And so you don't see all the crazy definition. All you see is their glutes, hamstring, tie-ins, whatever you want to call it.
15 to 20% for females. Technically speaking, this is often the healthiest.
And so Mike Israetel says, technically speaking, this is the healthiest body fat for most people to attain. He could have an argument for that. 15% body fat, I would argue, is too lean for the most part, although some women with crazy genetics can maintain 15% body fat and be healthy. And I would argue marathon runners, cyclists, and so on, perhaps endurance athletes can maintain a lean physique to that extent. But for the most part, I do think that 18 to 22% would be a lot healthier than 15 to 20%. I think if you're trying to maintain 15, 16, 17%, that is very rare. Perhaps 1 in 100 women can maintain a lean physique to that extent while still being healthy, eating a balanced, blended diet, and not suffering from certain medical problems or perhaps low hormones and so on.
And it's often the most universally attractive. Like if you poll 1,000 men with different pictures of females, generally they'll pick anywhere between 15% fat to 25% fat.
And in terms of what's the most attractive body fat percentage for females, Mike's saying somewhere between 15 to 25% body fat is universally accepted. I think probably if you ask male bodybuilders, competitors, fitness models, males that are into the fitness scene, they would say 15 to 25%. But I think for the most part, if you ask most men who don't work out, they would not select 15% body fat. That is very lean. You're seeing a six-pack. I don't think that for the most part, men like seeing a girl with a six-pack. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm not judging women for having six-packs. I'm saying for most desirability, as in what's the freaking hottest girl out there, you don't need 15% body fat. I would say closer to 20 to 25% body fat. 25% body fat, perhaps a bit less. But remember, it's where the body fat is. If it's in the glutes, probably not going to mind it. If it's making you have a belly, probably not as ideal as if it's in the bum. And so depending on your genetics, where you hold body fat, that's going to dictate what is the best looking female in the eyes of a man. Remember, I'm not telling you to look a certain way for a certain man or woman. Be happy, be healthy. And I've stated previously, as in this video and others, 25% body fat for women, that is healthy.
6% body fat is ideal for men. That's who? Athlete X? Motherfucker, you better hope we don't meet in person. I'm kidding, of course. That's fucking literal nonsense.
But see, Mike, this is the problem. You're looking at the title. It says 6% body fat is ideal for men. Harsh truth. The harsh truth is it's not ideal for men. It was a clickbait title. I watched a video and made a video about it. And so that's why people judge all my videos. They see the clickbait title, which you need to get people to watch your videos. If you don't do a clickbaity title, people aren't going to watch as much. And so we're playing a game. But if you don't watch the video, you can't really comment on what the video's about. It's like this. You can't judge a book by its cover. If the cover isn't very nice, but the book is amazing, doesn't mean it wasn't a good story. And so don't judge a book by its cover. Same as judging a person. You can't judge me, 5'6" manlet with lots of muscle, and not think that I'm a deep thinker. That not understand that I like to talk. You just think, oh, this guy just judges people for having low body fat percentage. He's just trying to make fun of people. When meanwhile, the truth is I'm trying to help as many people as humanly possible.
Is that at 10 to 15%? In most cases, you don't look like cutie little fucking Jim Bebopper bitch. You look like you're on your way to something real serious.
Exactly. When you're a woman and you're between 10 and 15% body fat, people are looking at you thinking, are you getting ready for a show? You look serious. You look like you're not natural. You're thinking, what is wrong with that person? It doesn't look normal. You can respect the hustle, respect the work that they put in, but is it really attractive? Is it what really people should aspire to? I don't think so. It's not healthy. People are doing that to compete in a competition to try and win a show. The problem is when you say that this is the best looking physique when you win a show and that person has 11% 11% body fat as a female, the females who are watching that or the other competitors are thinking, I also need to be 11% body fat. And so in your off season, when you're 17% body fat, which is still extremely lean, you might in fact think, I'm a little soft. I don't like the way I look. I like the way I look when I was 11% body fat when I won that last bikini competition. And so it's hard. It plays a mental toll, mental struggle, and it can lead to body dysmorphia. We've seen this in a number of videos. Will Tennyson made a video of this recently. I've done a number of these. You need to be careful. You need to strive not for perfection and stop comparing yourself to other people.
10 to 15% is below the roughly 15% body fat mark, below which your body decides it's too lean to give you periods anymore. It causes a long-term slow bone mass loss.
Exactly. It's not healthy. Bone loss, amenorrhea, these things are not good. You don't want to lose your period by having your body fat too low. And so if you've lost your period because your body fat's too low, or you're part of that female athlete triad where you're doing too much cardio, too much stress, not eating enough, you got to slow it down. It's about being healthy. And so if you're taking anabolic steroids, banned fat burners, dangerous products, and so on to get to that lean body fat percentage, you got to ask yourself, is it really worth it? Because really, you're more attractive at 10, 11, 12% body fat than you are at 18, 19, or 20% body fat. And so is it really worth it? Like, why are you doing this? What's the point of all of it? And yeah, I get it. You want to win the competition. Fine. Go and win the competition. But after the contest is over, get back to a normal, healthy body fat percentage and don't think that now you're somehow fat.
But it's not somewhere you want to live. You don't want to live there. You want to live as a female above 15%.
Exactly. So I agree with Mike. You don't want to live below 15% body fat. You might dip down there for a little bit, kind of like you climb a mountain and you're in the rare air, climb Mount Everest. Okay, briefly put the flag down. You won the competition, yay, but now climb back down the mountain. 20% body fat. Remember, 18 to 22, it's elite level athlete body fat percentage. 25 is healthy. So why are you at 12?
You see a female at 4% bite down and you can see her cross-striated mass in her muscle. Face looks like total death. On females, it's a really trippy look.
And Mike has a great point. It's more rare to see a woman who's sub 10% body fat. And so when you see one, it's very shocking. Women naturally carry a lot more body fat than their male counterparts, 6 to 9% more. And so if you see two people, they're both at 9% body fat and one's a woman, it's shocking. You don't hardly ever see that. But for the most part, men, it's not as rare to see single digit body fat. But when you see a woman, wow, you're going to look, you're going to stare, you're going to wonder what's going on. And for the most part, if they have any muscle, you're automatically going to assume performance enhancing drugs. And although there's some that are natural, for the most part, you're probably right. If you see a girl walking around at 9% body fat with a load of muscle, she's probably not natural. Because if she was natural, how would she have all that muscle? If she's not eating enough, doing all kinds of cardio, how does she still have muscle? And just because a girl's competing in the bikini category doesn't have as much muscle as a female bodybuilder, doesn't mean she's natural. It's very, very hard to even have a moderate amount of muscle when you're single digit body fat. For the most part, these women are not natural. And if they're competing at the highest level, for example, the Olympia, Nationals, and so on, almost all the women not natural. And of course, you're looking to build muscle, ecdy builder, various ecdy steroids. This can make a serious difference in your building of muscle. Also, G-test to put up more testosterone levels, up to 200 to 400 nanograms per deciliter, and GO2 max, the main ingredient NMN shown in countless studies to help increase your endurance, your cardio, recover faster, become a better butter burner. You have more energy, you can do more cardio, you can do so at a higher pace, increase your needs. All great things. If you're interested, code Greg, 10% off. Click the link in the description, head over to my website. And of course, we have the cookbooks and the Circle diet book and all those training books all on my website. We also have the Harder Than Last Time clothing line. You can get it all on the website. Code Greg 10% off. And if you have no money, you got a free diet and training program. It's close to 50 pages. You enter your first and last name and your email address. It's coming straight to you. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algorithm, like this video if you liked it. Of course, watch one of those two bloops. Please watch one of them, at least one. And until next time, I am out.